Hey Scott, Kyle.
Hey Kyle, good to see you.
Nice to meet you. So what are we going to be learning about today?
Well, we'll kind of show you through the whole manufacturing process, and we've got two buildings, so let's go ahead and start over there. That's where we're making the pieces and parts, and that's where a lot of the fun stuff happens.
All right, let's go.
I spent 15 years in the manufacturing world, and now I'm on a mission to show people how things are made and excite the youthful generations to get them involved in this amazing industry. This is Manufacturing Tribe TV.
So Scott, what is it that what's the end products that you guys make here?
So we make just a bunch of different parts for different industries.
And so you got two different buildings. Is there a specific process that's in this building over the other one that we're going to see?
Yeah, so this building is where you're going to see all the tube coming in, going through the tube lasers, the tube bending. So really what we're doing is we're going to be cutting all the pieces and parts, and it'll head to the other building where we'll make a weldment.
All right, so what are we looking at here? So you got some raw materials.
Yeah, so here's where you're going to see all the raw material coming in. We pretty much order what we need per job. So you'll see product coming in. We're going to be cutting this up in the next day or two, bending it and welding it into something.
So I see that some of them are square and others are round. What is the purpose of that? Is that different application or what?
Yeah, it's all going to be whatever they spec on the print. We have prints that we have to follow, so whatever they ask us to make, we have to follow the print, and all this tubing has a specific size.
Yeah, so what type of steel is this, or is this aluminum?
Yeah, so you're seeing mostly just cold roll steel. We do a little bit of aluminum, but mostly what you're seeing here is just standard steel tubing.
So material comes in, you guys store it here. Where does it go from here in the process?
Yeah, so from here, this will feed down to the tube lasers, and you'll see that we'll be cutting that up here in just a little bit. And then the flat material that's coming in, so you'll see a bunch of flat material that comes in, that'll be fed over to the flat lasers, and this is the start of the operation. So from here, we're taking the largest pieces of metal and cutting them into smaller pieces, and then they just keep funneling down the line.
Okay, so this is your raw material coming in, and then we're going to move it into the machinery to make it into whatever finished product or process that you guys have.
Exactly, yeah, you'll see everything here is going to turn smaller.
All right, so let's start with the tubing. Where does that go from here?
So from here, the tubing is going to go down to that machine, which is a tube laser. Okay. We'll feed that in. Yeah, we'll head down there.
So the tubes are going into this tube laser to make it smaller.
We'll jump in right here. So you'll see them loading on the backside. We've got a bundle of tubing on there that's being fed automatically up to the loading side. And this machine will grab that piece of tubing, feed it up, and cut it into whatever we have programmed into it. So in this case, we're doing a couple of copes on it, and we'll bend it, and it'll go into a weldment. Yeah, so here it is. Up on the front edge is where it's doing all the cutting. So here is processing the part. Again, per print, this thing will cut within plus or minus 2-3 thousandths of an inch all day long. And here's the part. Yeah, so this is it. You'll see one end has a cope on it, okay, and the other end is going to allow us to actually bend it and snap it off.
And how many of these do you guys go through a day? Like this process seems pretty fast. How many of these do you guys do in a day?
Yeah, we run this machine night and day. So it's as far as parts, we'll cut as many as 1,000 parts an hour. This one's probably cutting somewhere around 40 parts an hour.
Okay. So you guys are cutting this steel, and I see a spark. How is this? So it's not using a saw. What's going on here in this process?
Yeah, so there's a big device in the back that creates a laser, and then that beam gets tightened up until it's small enough to cut through the steel. It's fed also with high pressure oxygen or nitrogen.
Okay.
So what you're doing is just creating a laser beam that's probably 0.02 of an inch thick.
Yeah.
And it's cutting through the steel.
That quick.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Just like butter.
I mean, you could see the lines that it's making. That's about the width of the laser.
Exactly. Yeah. So that line, that's just the beam cutting through, and I would say it's not more than a couple thou. Yeah.
Wow, that's definitely interesting. I mean, this technology, do they use lasers a lot in cutting steel? Is that the most efficient way to do it?
Yeah, it's where everything has gotten to. I mean, it's been there for a while, but it is held strong, and it is truly the way to. It's the way we cut steel now.
Yeah. Where does that go then? You guys stack that up and move it on to a different process from there?
Yeah. So from here, it's going to head on down to the tube bending area.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and bend it into, shape it into a part.
Okay.
You can take a look at that.
Yeah. So this is like a smaller version of the tubes back there. So after you guys cut them, tell me what this machine is doing.
Yeah. So then this one is bending this part into the appropriate shape. Again, probably plus or minus 20 to 30 thousandths of an inch on this part. So this bender will hold tooling on both sides, right hand, left hand.
Okay.
So this is a pretty specific bender, and on a part that has this really tight wrap around and going two different directions,
Yep.
The only way you can do it is with tooling with right and left hand. So you'll watch this machine bend it on one set of tooling and then index to another set.
And what is this? I mean, this looks like almost like a front end of like a small motorcycle. What is it? What is this used for?
Yeah, this is actually used on a power washer. So it's the bottom frame that you can tip it up on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. And how do you guys program the machine to do whatever bend you want? Is that based on using some 3D models to integrate it, or how does that work?
Yeah, so Eric will do a lot of the programming offline. He'll create the program, send it to the machine, and then we'll go ahead and run the program and make a few tweaks and a few dimensional changes.
Okay.
We go over to a roamer that'll check it all out and make sure that it's in spec. After that, we lock the program in and start making parts.
And so this thing looks like it's producing a part every minute or so. Is it about 60 an hour?
Yeah, I would say close on this one. This is probably around 40 to 60 parts an hour. I would guess you're right.
All right, so we just saw the laser cutting the tube. Now you've got your flat stock over here. What's going on with this process?
Yeah, so here we're feeding a sheet of material in, and again, it's got a program that was fed to the machine. It's cutting a part out that we will eventually form into a box or bracket, who knows what. So this is cutting along, and this machine is designed to just pretty much cut sheet after sheet. So if you load it up, it'll cut on its own all night.
So it's still using the same technology of using nitrogen or oxygen to create a laser that then cuts through the steel, and you got the computer that's programming it to just cut whatever design you want.
Exactly, same process. This is fed with a high pressure gas and a tight laser beam.
Okay. And so in one of these sheets, it looks like you guys can make a lot of different parts in it, a large quantity.
Yeah. So this is probably a bracket that'll get welded on to one of those tubes, and we're probably cutting 500 or 1,000 of these, and that's kind of our normal run. And a job like this, we'll see this job come through this week, and we'll probably see the same job come through again in 2 or 3 weeks. So companies don't want a stock product. So what we do is we just build what they need as they need it. Let's just do a real quick Let's do a real quick close-up on one of the parts they're forming. Hey, do you have any parts you can form right now?
Yeah, go ahead, run one.
Okay, so hold it before. No, well, this is a new trainee, brand new trainee. So here's the deal. So don't ever put your finger in there, and you should never have that open more than what the steel should go in there. Okay.
Yep.
So remember that, because you don't get two tries at this. So this should always be, never should be enough room to get your finger in there. You see that? That's a good setup. I like that. And then when you hold it on there, you're really just kind of that nice finesse touch. You don't want to like push real hard. Just that nice soft touch.
So what is this machine gonna do?
So what you're watching here is the parts that come off the flat laser. We are going to go ahead and start forming the sheet metal, and this will turn into a bracket now.
So the stuff that it was laser cutting then comes over here, and now you guys are forming it into whatever shape you need.
Exactly. And you'll see the program on the machine will show exactly which bend you're doing first and second. Now the program says it's ready to bend another part, and it'll tell you where to start, which bend is first and which bend is second.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I've always wondered how steel was bent. This makes complete sense. All right, so now we're at the second building, back where we started. Where does the raw material come in here, and what's the process that you guys are doing in here?
Okay, so everything that you saw us do over there, the brackets and the tubing, everything that is completed will wind up going into a kit.
Okay.
So then that kit will travel over here for welding.
Okay.
There's a few of the parts will go straight to the paint line, but most everything will go to the welding department. So we'll take a look at that.
Okay. So this is where you've taken the parts that you've done over here, come over here, and now you're going to weld them to the final shape, or to make the final product that you guys are doing?
Yeah. So the parts that are sitting right here are going to turn into a rack for a four-wheeler.
Okay.
And so all these pieces will get loaded into a weld fixture, and then the robotic welder will go around and do all the welding and make the part.
So it's robotic, which is a lot different than a lot of companies that are doing things by hand. Is that for efficiency, using a robot?
Yeah. So in the old days, tube bending was just something that they couldn't hold the tolerances on. So you couldn't necessarily go in and robotically weld things. Well, now with the new equipment, you can hold such tight tolerances that you can program a robotic welder to do things that you couldn't in the years ago, in the years past. So you'll see the guys will have weld fixtures over here that they'll pick up per part, and then bring it over here to load it in.
So how long is that welding process for it to go through for one part?
Yeah, on this one, there's a lot of welds on this. This one is probably welding a part every 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. There's just a lot of welds on this part.
And so it looks like you've got 2 robotic welders?
Yeah, we've got 3 of them back here. So the center one is for smaller parts or components to a larger part, and then the other 2 robots are set up where with a turntable, so the guys can load the parts in the fixture as it's welding the other one, and then it'll just index and give you a new part. So then there's the part. It's brought itself back to us, and as soon as he unloads that, we'll see a completed part.
You said it's a rack for an ATV.
Yeah. Yep. This is, I think, like a rear carrying rack for an ATV.
I was gonna say it looks almost like a roof rack, like a smaller version of a roof rack for a car.
Yeah, exactly. There's what all the pieces and parts made for us.
And then he's putting it over there. Is that to cool it off or something?
Yeah, he'll have to let it cool off and inspect it to make sure that the welds are good and make sure that it's in tolerance still.
All right. So what else do you have? So we've seen the welding. What else are you guys doing in this facility?
So from here, those parts will travel typically up to the paint line, and we'll powder coat that part before we ship it out. So we can take a look at that.
Yeah, let's go see that.
We going about it. Hey, y'all ain't ready. Later, the whole damn city.
because everything's pretty much, a lot of things are powder coated these days, right? People try, and that's just for protection. Or what's the purpose behind the powder coating?
Yeah, so powder coating really is a environmentally friendly method of painting. So in the old days, everything that we think looks like paint and is perceived to be paint is probably powder coating. It's really ground up plastic. So what you're seeing is ground up plastic that is electrostatically applied to the steel part and melted in an oven at 400 degrees. So it really is a coat of plastic on the part, and we perceive it to be paint.
Yeah.
Grab just a couple of these. Yeah. Yeah. So here it is. This is a part that went through the paint line, and it just came out of the oven. But the powder will be as hard as it'll ever be right now. It's completely ready to go in the world.
So it goes in looking like this, and you guys powder coat it. It just looks like paint.
Exactly. And this is a print that calls out a certain tolerance down here because they have a connector that goes on.
Okay.
So we couldn't have the paint. They wouldn't allow the extra couple thousandths of an inch
Right.
for this part to work. So yeah, so what you're seeing here is a stainless steel part that is powder coated, and will go out. This is used in the marine industry.
Okay.
So we'll jump in here in the quality room.
All right, what do we got going on over here?
Yeah, so quality is a big part of manufacturing nowadays. I mean, there's a lot of requirements on what you have to meet. So we do all of our own internal testing for paint. So we have all of our own internal testing to make sure that we've got good cure, that we've got the right color, okay, that it'll pass all the requirements that are spec'd out on the print.
Yep.
And then from there, when we set up and make a part for someone, a new part, we have to verify that it truly meets the requirements. A lot of things that we work on, we have a plus or minus tolerance of, in a lot of cases, 10,000ths of an inch, which is really 3 hairs lined up together.
Right.
So we have to make sure that everything is correct, that we have our weld fixtures set right, that the heat isn't warping the steel. So back here we'll do the final inspections on parts, make sure that everything is in spec before we release a part to production, and we'll do a PPAP, or a first article inspection. Mm-hmm. Customer will give us approval, and after that we're able to run parts.
So this is what is this thing, like some sort of motor, like a marine motor or troller motor or something?
Yeah, so this is like a mud motor, they call them, and a lot of the parts here we do. So it's designed to run in shallow water. So you can bomb through the mud and weeds and everything. So yeah, this is just a small example of one of the parts that we're doing. This is one that we are just getting rolling on, so we're just going to make sure that everything is truly correct. And I think they've done some testing on this, and we should be ready to go on this one soon.
Very cool.
We're manufacturing all of the tube, all the weldment down here, everything down here. We're welding a couple of bearing shafts on here. So this is spinning at this is a high-speed bearing that's spinning through there. So the tolerances really have to be right. Then we can look at some other products that we do. We can see some other completed product.
So is that stuff primarily used in like the swamps, or do you guys use that here in Minnesota?
I mean, like duck hunters would use it.
Okay.
Guys that run the rivers,
okay,
a lot of swamp. But yeah, it's a pretty big market down in Florida, I think.
Okay. All right, so what do we have here?
So here we do some assembly. This is a product. This is a weed knife and a weed rake. So we're doing the assembly here. This is a stainless steel blade that was cut on the laser. Of course, the tube, we saw the tube being bent, or some tubes being bent. We've got sheet metal, and we've got the weldment. So this is a good example of a part that fits us well. And here we're just doing the final assembly on this. And so we'll put all the fasteners in. Again, everything is stainless steel. We'll tighten everything up, go through the final packaging, and ship this out to a customer.
So what type of weeds are you guys raking with this thing? Because weeds at my house definitely What types of weeds are these?
Okay, so this is for aquatic weeds. This is for stuff in the water. Okay.
Got
so
it.
yeah, so if you had a backyard pond, or if you live on the lake and you want to keep it clear for your kids swimming, that's what this stuff is all about. And this is one that would be used for like a thicker stemmed weed. And then this other one over here.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So this one is designed for like just most of the soft stem lake weeds. You'll see it has a whole bunch of different things going on. This will cut and pull the weeds out. It sells with a 18-foot aluminum handle also. Okay. But so this is what you would use to keep the weeds clear of your swimming area.
Ah, so like if you've got a dock on a lake or a river and the weeds start growing up, you would put that down there and basically weed whack under the water with this thing.
Very cool. And this will cut and collect the weeds in one pass.
Oh, so you could pull them up.
Yeah, because it is a requirement to get the weeds out of the water. You're not to just cut them and let them float around because they'll regrow. Yeah. So yeah, this will cut the weeds and then remove them from the water.
That's a cool application.
Thanks.
Is this another kind of weed rake?
Yeah. Yeah. So that one is for picking weeds out of the rocks and picking the weeds up off the floating weeds. Okay. Yeah. So so that's got real hardened tines on it, and it'll pick up everything out of the rocks that get stuck in there, or the floating bogs that come up on the dock.
Yeah, you could do some damage with this thing.
The claw.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So then once those are, once you guys are done, you're done with the assembly, where do the parts go from there? Do you guys just throw them in a box, or do you guys put them in plastic containers?
Yeah, so let's take a look at our shipping department, and we'll show you the stuff coming in and out. So the shipping, this is product that came in this morning. We had a lot of trucks show up today. So this is product coming in, and staged for our paint line. So we do just some paint for customers also. We don't manufacture everything that we do. So this is the product that is that's been processed and is ready to go back to the customer. So I expect they'll be coming for this either today or tomorrow. And so finished goods is kind of waiting up here for shipment. And then we've got some stuff coming off the paint line that you'll see coming up here to get ready to ship out.
And what are these? Are those things you guys made too?
Yeah, this is a part that we make. We've got a little bit of inventory on this one, but this is a pretty intricate part.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, there's a fair amount going on here. It is used as a fuel train for fireplaces. So for gas fireplaces. Yeah. But it's a good example of what works. Now this has got some TIG welding on it also. A lot of wire welding, powder coat. Pretty intricate part.
Yeah, very cool. So once they come through, you guys ship them, then you bring in the new shipment of stuff, and you guys just keep on going around and around.
Yeah. I mean, we'll turn the floor that you see back there. We'll turn that floor probably every day and a half. Wow. So the stuff is really moving through here quickly.
And how many shifts do you guys operate?
We're running 2 shifts right now.
Okay. 2 shifts. Is that 4 or 5 days a week?
We are running 5 days a week.
Okay. And have you guys, with the youth, involvement in manufacturing, have you guys seen some uptick in that, or are you guys still trying to find good youthful labor?
Yeah, no, we're doing pretty well. For whatever reason, our location, we've got a pretty good crew to pick from, and we've had a lot of really good hires as of late. And we've got a lot of long-term guys that have been here too, but we're adding, our business is growing, we're adding employees, so we're always looking for new talent. I'm Scott Landgraf. I am the president of the company, started 25 years ago. The name of the company is Izza Manufacturing and Coatings. My entire life I was always welding or making or painting something, and started out in the auto body industry. So I started out painting cars, and learned a little bit about customers and sales and how to do things, get things done on time. Decided I'd move that into manufacturing. My father was a machinist, so I had a chance to kind of, watch him run his small business, and got to understand the prints and measuring and tolerances. So I grew up kind of playing with those tools, and just decided that after about 12 years of that career, that I would move into powder coating, because it was an up and coming market at that time for sure. Environmentally safe method of painting. So I started here 25 years ago as a powder coating company, and about probably 7 years into that, I saw a niche or a need, especially in the tube bending industry. So I decided, why not get some tube bending equipment and start doing the manufacturing, so we could bring it full cycle to go ahead and do the manufacturing and powder coating, and that turned out to be a good move for us. We kind of started getting into the tube industry when the new modern equipment was coming out. So we put in robotic welders, we put in tube lasers, we put in state-of-the-art tube benders, and decided that we would robotically weld everything. That was one thing that I was really tough on. So we have stuck with that program, and that's what makes us probably better than most, is that we have put the effort into being able to make the parts in tight tolerances, load those parts into a fixture that we create ourselves, and robotically weld and paint.
I'm Ryan Carlson. I'm the production manager here, and I've been here for probably about 8 years total. I got into manufacturing in my early 20s. I actually started here at this company in customer service, and I did a lot of entering purchase orders, working with customers to fulfill their orders, and from there I just kind of, started tracking jobs as they went on the production floor, keeping track of them, and then I got more involved with the different things that we do, manufacturing things here.
My name is Eric Klingelholtz. I'm the engineer at Izza Manufacturing. I've been here for about 13 years. I had welding experience from a previous manufacturing job that I only worked there for 6 months or so.
My name is Will O'Sullivan. I've been here for almost 3 months. Right now I'm packaging parts off the paint line.
My name is Jorgen Barrick, and I've been working here for 3 months as of yesterday. And I work on the paint line, and I also do CNC work, which I've never done before until this job.
We see a lot of young people, and it's fun to see guys that are interested in doing it. Some guys will jump into this industry and not really know what they're getting into, and find they just really like it. Other guys are kind of like me, and they were making things, and they want to keep doing that. They'll get in here and really find something they enjoy. And a company like this, there's many things you can do. I mean, you can run the robotic welders, you can do the welding, you can run the tube lasers, the bending, the forming, run the paint. There's just a bunch of different things within this company for the guys to find something they like.
Well, the process is I guess just on the job training and learning. I didn't really have much experience in manufacturing when I came in here. It was all just getting to know the people at the machines that they work on, cross-training on some of those machines, and then just getting involved with that.
I mean, I tried different jobs. I just never was challenged at them, so I came here, and it was different stuff every day and just more fun, I guess. It's a good entry-level job to start with little schooling, and then you can work your way up all the way to the top.
Well, I lost my last job, and I needed to find a job, and I applied here, got the job, and when I started, I was really unsure about it just because it was something that I've never done before, and I thought, well, why not? Let's try it out. And I really feel like we're a family here, to be honest. I mean, we all talk to each other and get along really well with one another, and I just really like to work here because it really has that family aspect and family feel to it.
But that's one thing that I'm really now at this point of the business trying to focus on, is trying to make sure that the company is a place where my customers want to be and my employees want to be. So I think that's really important, and we are learning that there's different needs now than there was 20 years ago. So we're really moving into that. And having some pretty good luck with it.
I like all the changes that there are. Like, we're constantly making new parts for new customers, and it's neat to always have a big variety of stuff that's coming through here. We're not just making the same one part, you know, thousands of times every day. It's always new parts constantly changing.
I see myself staying in this industry because of the variance in the products that you can produce and finish, and because there's a high demand for it.
Just learning all the different processes and how to make different things, and how different things that I've taken for granted and used in everyday life have come to use, and how they've been processed, and what my role is, because like I have one part where I actually did the spot welding on it, and after I did the spot welding on it, I had to do more spot welding, and then I got to hang it up on the paint line and then see it after it was completely finished. So to me, it was a whole rounded process, which was really fun and entertaining.
I have taken many people with no experience. One of my best stories is probably a girl that I hired. She was working at Dairy Queen. I've got other guys that started on the paint line, or excuse me, that started on the welding line. They're now engineering. I've got guys that started in the office as general office, that went through purchasing and customer service on up to production management.
What I would say is just if you want to go for a job, go for it. Even if you don't have a whole lot of training, any kind of experience that, you know, could get you into that job, mark it down, list it as something that you could do. But just have that desire to do it and go for it. Don't let a fear of not having experience hold you back, because there's always on-the-job training. You can always learn as you go, and just be motivated and work hard at it.
There's a lot of opportunity in this, and I've got a couple of new guys that are really pretty fired up, and I have high hopes for that group.
Try it out. I mean, it's one of those jobs where, yeah, you might not have the experience, but that's how you can be molded to get the things done the right way. And instead, because like with schooling, you may learn one thing one way, and then you get to a position and they want you to do it completely backwards than how you were taught it in school. So I think if you just learn how to make things how one company wants it, that's pretty uniform throughout every company, I feel like.
I think that a lot of guys can jump into this industry and move up the ranks pretty quickly to make pretty good money. I mean, you jump into robotic welding or tube bending, running our tube lasers, and there's always room for guys that want to take on responsibility, running smaller crews, or within a department, being a head of a department, all the way up to quality managers. We really struggle to find good quality managers, and I would love to bring some of that talent up within the company.
Well, Scott, thanks for showing us your place. Definitely learned a lot of stuff about tube welding and just the whole fabrication process that you guys are going through. Definitely some cool things, so I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming out. I enjoyed it.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys, we just showed you some metal fabrication. We were doing tube bending, tube cutting, laser cutting, all sorts of crazy shit. These guys are awesome. Check out the truck, showing off what they're doing things for residential stuff, doing things for the marine industry. I mean, this really shows you that steel that you see that's bent, this is how you bend it. We just showed you that process. So hopefully you got some value out of this. If you did, hit that like button, share it out there to anybody else that you want to have see the manufacturing industry and how cool it actually is. If you have questions, leave them in the comments, and we'll see you on the next episode.